Hello, I hope you're doing well. My name is Kevin Bullard, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, How I Succeeded Online and You Can Too. This webinar really is it's a step through the journey that Cecilia, my wife, and I have taken since July of 2009. Those of you who are watching this webinar probably came to us through our marriage ministry, Marriage Works. And just some pretty remarkable things have happened over the years. We've been able to I've been able to leave my full-time job. Cecilia is a stay-at-home homeschooling mother. And it's just really amazing how Marriage Works has afforded us that opportunity. And although it is a ministry, we have been able to create information products and events and things of that sort that have allowed us to do this full time. And so we're very happy about that. And here's the amazing thing. What we've done is not unique to us. There are other people who have done it, and you can do it as well. That's what this webinar is all about, how we have succeeded online and how you can too. There are certain things we've learned, and yeah, we spent thousands of hours and thousands of dollars, and we've made a lot of mistakes, and we've talked to a lot of people, but it is possible. And I'm hopeful through this webinar, you'll see part of what we've done, and you'll get the confidence that you too can do the same thing. And so let's go ahead and get started. I want to start out by telling you a little bit about me. My name is Kevin Bullard. I live in Dallas, Texas, and I'm married with 3 children. I have a wonderful wife named Cecilia. We've been married for almost 15 years, and our kids are Max, Caitlin, and Korea Joy, and they are 12, 9, and 7. And they are full of energy and seriously keep Cecilia and me on our toes with all of their activities. A little bit more about me. I served as a senior pastor for 4.5 years. This is when I lived in North Carolina. I just been in Texas for about 10 months. But I served as a senior pastor, and one of the things that happens as a senior pastor is you see a whole lot of couples who are in distress where their marriage is concerned. And so Cecilia and I started counseling marriage couples. We started doing some coaching with them. And that just kind of continued on. Even after I was no longer a senior pastor, we kept having people sitting on our couch, and we were discussing marriage with them. And then in 2009, we put up a Facebook post, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But while I was a senior pastor, I was also an IT consultant at a couple of universities, one of them being my alma mater, UNC Chapel Hill. And so I had some IT background, but also I had pastored, and so I was able to start putting all of that together, and slowly Marriage Works was forming. I have a master's in leadership and an executive MBA, and so one of the things that's really important to me is education, and particularly working at the university, I saw that if I wanted to advance, that I would need to keep getting more and more education and really more degrees. And that is going to culminate this fall when I get my doctorate. I'm working on a doctorate, and I am studying blended families. We see a lot of blended family issues in Marriage Works. And so it's important to us that, it's important to Cecilia and me that we are educated and know how to help the people who are coming to us for support. Now, as I alluded to earlier, I accidentally started Marriage Works in 2009 with a Facebook post. I had absolute zero intentions of Marriage Works becoming what it has become. That being with nearly 500,000 followers through social media, an email list of over 20,000 people. We just never intended for this to happen. See, my goal was to be a university president. After being at a university for almost 20 years, you know, that culture just kind of gets in your heart, and I just really wanted to be an administrator and one day a university president. But as the Lord would have it, things started happening, and every single door I tried to go through for to get into higher education, all those doors closed, and instead, Marriage Works kept growing on the side more and more. And we saw that, you know what, we really believe that this is what the Lord wants us to do. And so we started being more intentional about it. And since we've started being more intentional, one of the things that's happened is we've just seen the growth of Marriage Works. It's just grown and completely beyond what we ever thought could happen. It just started growing and growing. And so we've been really excited about that. And I want to tell you this. A lot of what we've learned it was learned in other areas, particularly with the internet marketing. And I'll get into this a bit more a little later. But it started in another area. But when those areas really did not start to generate any type of traction at all, we took all that we learned and moved it into Marriage Works. And it's been really amazing to see how it has grown since then. All right. Let's see what's next. Now, I love this verse from Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. It says, I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all. And what I really like about this verse is that it says this. Just because you're fast doesn't mean you're going to win the race. Just because you're strong doesn't mean you're going to win a battle. It doesn't matter how wise you are. It doesn't matter if you were born on third base and have a lot of wealth. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Here's the deal that matters. Time and chance. You have an opportunity. There is something that you know. You have some knowledge that you have pulled together from other areas. You have some knowledge that you have gained over the years. Maybe it's knowledge you've gained at work. Maybe it's knowledge that you've gained on the side, but you know something. And you have time and you have an opportunity to do something with it now. Why is that? Because the internet is such a great neutralizer. If you have an internet connection, then you can be among those who are putting what they know online. And that's all that Cecilia and I did. Because we had done so much work with married couples, we'd learned a lot, right? And not to mention from our own marriage and the coaching that we were getting, we just learned a lot. And it's just amazing every single day that Cecilia and I make money. Our lifestyle is furnished through Marriage Works. And let me tell you, it's not an elaborate lifestyle, but it is a lifestyle where I don't have to work outside the home, and Cecilia is able to stay home with our children. And it's absolutely amazing to me that is made possible because of we are just sharing what we know online. And so how do you figure out what it is, how you can take advantage of this opportunity? Well, one of the things is you've got to ask yourself, what am I passionate about? Ask yourself, what do I know a lot about? Here's another one. What do I like sharing with people? Is it something that am I always making things? Am I good with my hands, or do I know a whole lot about sewing or quilting? Or can I tell you the absolute best way to prepare a cake recipe or whatever the case may be? What is it that you know? What is it that you're passionate about? What is it that you're good at doing? You can use the power of the internet and harness that information and share it with other people, and you can start to make money online. And it's very possible for you to make up to $1,000 a month just through information products. What's an information product? It could be something like a PDF ebook. It could be something like a course. It could be something like doing coaching sessions. And we'll get more to that in just a bit, but just know that there is a time, there's a chance, there's opportunity for you. And you just have to seize that opportunity. All right, here's how we began Marriage Works. And some of this is going to be a repeat from what I've said earlier, but it started with a lot of blogging. We were writing, I was writing blog posts, if not every day, every other day, and listen, they didn't have to be long. I'm the type person where unless I have to write a very long piece, I'm going to write something that's pretty short to the point. I think my average blog post was around 300 words. And there are times when I needed to go deeper, and I did. But what I found was I was having a lot of success writing a blog post that was around 300 words. It only took a couple of minutes for the person to read, and it was good. Now, here's one of the things. What if you say, I don't have enough to write about every single day or every other day? Let me tell you, there's this whole idea of being a curator. Think about a person who works at a museum. A museum curator is responsible for making sure that the museum always has exhibitions. But here's the deal. The museum does not create the exhibitions. The museum brings in pieces from elsewhere, and that is how they furnish their exhibition for that month or for that period of time when they're showing something. The museum doesn't create it, the museum brings it in. And that's what the idea of curation is about. And you can use this in your blogging. Is there a blog that you visit regularly, or 2 or 3 blogs that you visit regularly and you just love reading their information? Guess what you can do? You can link to their post on your blog and say, this was a great blog that I read over here on site xyz.com, and it was great. And it talked about the best way to the best way to fix a fever, a homeopathic way. That is, not with a bunch of medicine, but naturally. And you link to that article. Or it could be another one. I was over here on this article and I read this and it was great. And they talked about the best way to weatherproof your deck without using harsh chemicals or something like that. It really doesn't matter what your interest is. The idea is you go out and you bring in information and you put it on your blog, and then guess what you have at that point? You have blog posts every day. There's so much information on the web, so much quality information, and when you start blogging, you can start to attract an audience. So that's how we started out. Lots of blogging. Then there were 6 to 7 Facebook/Twitter posts a day. And at one point, folks were saying, you're writing too much, you're posting too much, you're drowning us. That was back during the days when Facebook would make sure that everybody saw everything that you were putting out on a daily basis. Well, as you may know, the way Facebook does it now, people may see a post that you put out. They may not see anything. So at that point, we were doing 6 to 7 Facebook posts a day. Well, today we've got 22 posts going out every single day. And it's just that we want to make sure that all of our information is seen by as many folks as possible. We also started giving out free PDF ebooks. And this was great. This was a good way for us to start to generate traffic. We would write up an ebook. It would take me 2 to 3 hours to write. I'd write up an ebook. It may be 20 pages. And we'd give it away for free. And in return, we would ask people for their email address. And so the person who gave us their email address would have a great book that got straight to the point and had something to do with marriage. We wrote one about roles in marriage. We talked about true submission in marriage and how it's not about slavery and how both spouses are supposed to submit to one another. That was a really big one. It was only 34 pages long, but we had hundreds of people downloaded, and guess what we got in return? Hundreds of email addresses. And so free PDF ebook is a way that we started out. And then we got to the place where we were charging for these ebooks, and now we're at this place where everything is pay what you want. So you can pay for it or you can get it for free. We've evolved over the years, but the whole idea is we created an information product that would generate traffic and would allow us to get email addresses so we could keep in touch with people. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later why it's so important that you have an email address to stay in touch with those folks who are coming to your site. Here's another way that we began Marriage Works, and I believe this has really been foundational to our success. Aside from God helping us, showing up daily. When you show up daily, you let people know that you are not some fly-by-night organization. You let folks know that you're not a flash in the pan. You let folks know that you're not just here today to get their money, but instead you're committed to showing up day after day after day. You're committed to giving them good content day after day after day. And we did that, and it's paid off handsomely for us. Here's another thing, another way we began: engaging folks on the social media, responding to emails. One of the things that we did originally, and holy cow, I was drowning in email, but it made a real big difference. Folks could sign up to get on an email list, and in our earlier days, even before the PDF ebooks, We had 10 tips to a healthy marriage or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, but we gave folks 10 emails over a period of 10 days. And on day 2, I put a questionnaire that said, hey, please tell us the biggest issue you're facing. Tell us how long you've been married, number 1. And number 2, tell us the biggest issue you're facing in your marriage right now. And so we had lots of folks who would reply to that email. And there were days when, holy cow, I may get 15, 20 emails where folks are saying, I've been married X amount of years. This is the biggest issue that's going on. And I tried my best to respond to everybody. There were times when I just couldn't reply to everybody. But here's something else good that came out of that. When people were telling me what the biggest problem was in their marriage, guess what I was able to do with that information? I was able to create resources that address those problems. And of course, I didn't create a resource for every isolated problem. But when I started to notice some patterns, I was like, oh my gosh, we've had 25, 30, 50 people write in saying that trust is an issue in their marriage. And so guess what we did as a result? We created something that had to do with trust and forgiveness. Or we saw, we're having these problems. My spouse is having an affair or has had an affair, or I'm tempted to have an affair. And we kept saying that over and over. Well, guess what we would do? We would respond to the people, but then we would also create a resource that had to do with that. And here's the biggest thing. When you ask questions online, people will give you the answer that they need. So many times people have their own answer. You just ask a question, they'll tell you how to create something for them. And if people are telling you what their problem is and you create it, guess what's going to happen on the other end? If it's quality, people are going to pay you to answer a question. They're going to pay you to solve a problem that you didn't know they had until you asked them. And it's great. There's a saying I saw a number of years ago, and it's very true. Making money is all about solving problems. And it's completely okay. This is something I've had to grow in because I felt badly for making money online. But you know what? If you're doing it with integrity and you're doing it with, you're giving people a good product and you're sincere and you're answering their questions, there's absolutely nothing wrong with making money, because making money is just a sign that you are adding value to someone's life. And we've had folks tell us they've bought one of our resources and they've come back and they've said, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. This resource saved my marriage. This resource helped me change my attitude towards my spouse. And then we have a great marriage. And it's so great. It feels good that I helped them with their marriage. It feels good that I was able to make a little bit of money off of the resource they bought. And you know what? It just keeps going. When you have good intentions and you're helping people and you're genuinely trying to solve their problems, guess what? You win, they win. And that's what this is all about. If you're going to be successful online and you get to describe what the word success means to you, you get to define success, whether it's a feeling of just, man, I just feel good inside, or whether it's something dealing with how many people are following you or how much money you're making, you get to define success. But here's the deal. True success online is when your customer wins and when you win. They're solving you're solving their problem, and in return, you're getting some type of benefit. This win-win is what it's all about online. So just for a second while I get a drink of water. All right, let's keep going here. Now, I told you earlier that Cecilia and I started doing something else first, but then when that wasn't generating any type of traction, we took everything we learned and moved it into Marriage Works. And here's what we were doing. We were at a place a few summers ago where we were like, we need to earn some extra money. And maybe you've been there. It's just like, I need to earn some extra money. And so we tried something that we had never tried, and something that we had honestly said that we would never try was network marketing. And we weren't going to do it just because we had been just harassed so many times by different folks who were saying, hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to buy this? And I told Cecilia, it's like, all right, listen, we need to make some extra money. And if we don't try something different, then we're going to keep getting what we've always gotten, right? And I said, here's the plan. We're going to try network marketing. However, we're going to have to do it on the internet because I am not asking anyone I know, family, friend, nor foe, if they will buy something from me. So if we're going to do this, then we're going to have to do it online. And so I started studying internet marketing. I spent thousands of dollars over the first 2 years learning how to do internet marketing. I was signing up for courses. I was signing up for private coaching. I was getting in mastermind groups. I was determined to learn this. And my wife is just like, whoa, you're spending a lot of money. But it's like, I want to learn how to do this because if we're going to be successful, I'm going to have to spend some money to learn how to do it. And so I'm spending all this money, using all this time. Meanwhile, I'm still working. I'm a full-time job. I'm still in school working on the master's, and I'm learning how to do internet marketing. And it flopped. We never sold anything. We were in a total of 3 companies. I did one by myself, and Cecilia and I signed up for 2 together. We were in 3 network marketing companies, and we never sold anything. So we spent all that money on that, right? And got no return at all. However, I learned some great stuff about marketing on the internet. And I said, well, let me just put this over here with Mayor's Works. Just still at that point, it's still kind of like Facebook. So, all right, let me try this online and let's see what happens. And holy cow, it took off. We were just amazed at how we realized it's not that what we were doing was wrong. It's just that nobody was interested in what we were selling. All right. Nobody wanted our shakes. Nobody wanted our chocolate. Nobody wanted our cars. Well, that's fine. But what we saw was this. When you have an audience who wants what you want and you give it to them in a good way and you use internet marketing properly, oh my gosh, it can take off. And that's exactly what happened with Mayor's Works. Now, here's the formula we learned. We were practicing it then, we practice it now, and we will be practicing this until we decide at some point in the future, perhaps, we're done with the internet. Here's the formula. It starts with C, content. You must have high quality content. You must have consistent high quality content. And that consistent high quality content must be content that the people who are reading your material care about. What can this content look like? This content could be a blog post, all right? This content could be a Facebook post. It could be a tweet. It could be a YouTube video. It could be an article you post on LinkedIn or something you post on Pinterest. It could be something that you put, there are different article directories where people just write articles. And if you just like put in something Google randomly, like a term, it may pull up one of these articles from a big article directory. It doesn't matter whether it's written. It doesn't matter if it's a video. It could be a podcast. Excuse me. Quite honestly, it really doesn't matter what the content is, but you've got to have content that is high quality and content that is consistent. Remember what I said, you've got to show up daily. You've got to show up on a consistent basis. And when I say daily, maybe daily is every other day, or maybe daily is weekly. Whatever it is, it needs to be something that's consistent, and it needs to be, there can't be too much time that passes in between or folks are going to forget about you. Why? Because there are millions of other people on the internet who have content that is already out there. And so you're going to have good content. What's going to happen when you have consistent, high quality content that your users care about? You're going to start to generate traffic. It's going to happen every single time. Why do you go to a website that you go to on a regular basis? Why do you listen to a podcast that you listen to on a regular basis? Because they have good content, because you get something out of it, because it means something to you, right? And so when you have high quality content and it's consistent, you will generate traffic. You absolutely will. People are going to keep coming back. When you have high quality content that is either your own or content that you have brought in from some other site. Remember, we talked about that, being a curator, bringing in material from other sites. When you do that, You're going to generate traffic because people say, oh my gosh, let me just make up a name here. Oh my gosh, John has the best material. He has great insight himself about this. Let's say maybe we were talking about square gardening, okay? My wife had a square garden when we lived in North Carolina, and she was doing a bunch of research. And so maybe she found a blog by a guy named, let me make up a name, John Johnson, who has great content about square gardens. And my wife is like, every single day, he has wonderful information about square gardens. So she keeps going back. And then she says, oh my gosh, he brought in this article from Susie Q over here, and it was so great. So Tia keeps coming back. Why? Because there's great traffic. So content leads to traffic, which leads to this. You pre-sell. When you have high, consistent content, when you have this traffic, it allows you to pre-sell. What are you pre-selling them on? You're pre-selling them on something that you may make an offer later. You may have an ebook that you want to try to sell them, or you may have a course that you're going to offer them. You know, whatever it is, you're pre-selling them. Whenever you have consistent content that is high quality, you're pre-selling them. Now, here's the thing. You haven't asked them for a penny. And we're going to get into this as one of the mistakes that that online entrepreneurs make when it comes to selling. But here in this case, you're pre-selling. You're not asking them to buy anything. You're not trying to twist their arm and get them to do anything. At this point, everything is free. You're just giving them loads and loads and loads and loads of free content. And I like to look at it like this. Well, let me give you this next one, and then I'll give you my example. Then the next one is monetize. And so after you've been given good content and you've been driving traffic and you've been pre-selling them because you have good content, you finally get to the place where you can monetize. And this is when you make an offer. This is when you say, you know what? We have an ebook over here that talks about 15 ways to treat poison ivy. And I'm just making something up here. But because you've been given them such great information, maybe you're going to treat poison ivy naturally. Because you've been given them such great information about all things organic and all things natural, when they get this, and of course you're going to be strategic and release this in the early spring, right when the poison ivy is starting to bloom again. What do you think? What do you think can happen? You have the potential to sell this ebook, and you're not going to hit them over the head. You're like, this ebook is only $7, and it's going to be available from now until this point. Well, what you've done is, because you've had good content and you've generated traffic and you've been pre-selling them, you can now monetize. You can now ask them to buy something. Now, let me give you a movie metaphor to help you understand this. Let's say that I own a movie theater, okay? And I have the latest release. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put an ad in the paper. I'm going to buy some Facebook ads. I'm going to put something in Craigslist. And I may even buy a billboard or put something on television and radio and say, listen, I've got a movie theater and I've got the latest movie and every single seat is free. Come on in. Come on in. And then I'm going to say, and here's a bonus. I've got free popcorn. So you come and see this latest movie that you care about. I've got free seats. I've got free popcorn. And all you've got to do is show up. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, it costs $10 to go to the movie around the corner down the street. I'm certainly going to Kevin's Theater. It's a free movie. It's free popcorn. Oh my gosh, I can't pass that up. Well, so you come to the theater, I give you your ticket, you step up to the concession stand, you get your free popcorn, and then I've got a sign behind the counter that says, drinks, $1. And you're thinking, holy cow, I got a free movie, I got free popcorn, sure I'll pay $1 for a drink. And well, beside it, I've got a bigger cup. This cup is only $3. Well, what have I done? I've made money off of this free movie. I've made money off of the free popcorn. Why? Because I had the content. The content was the movie. And so I generated traffic, right? And then I pre-sold you. I pre-sold you on the fact that everything was free. The movie, the popcorn, and then I monetized when I asked you to buy a drink. Did you have to buy a drink? No, of course not. You don't have to. But it was there at a price that made sense. And because you'd gotten everything else for free, you're just like, how can I not do it? Plus, the popcorn's going to make me thirsty. I can't eat the popcorn without drink. And so that's how CTPM wants. That's how it works, rather. So when you're developing your product, you want to have something that is free, something that is high quality to generate traffic. And then you pre-sell through content, and then finally get to a point when you can monetize. And here's how it works. Content leads to traffic, which leads to pre-selling, which leads to monetizing. And then what do? You create more content. It never stops. You drive more traffic, and then you're pre-selling because of the content. Then you monetize. Well, what do you do after you've monetized the second time? You got it. You give more content, and you drive even more traffic. You pre-sell some more. You monetize again, and it goes on and on and on and on and on forever. It never stops. With Marriage Works, even though we've got almost 500,000 people on Facebook, we still follow the same formula today. All the posts that we put up today are all about content. And then we're pre-selling with those. And then we're going to have some posts up that says, hey, have you had an affair in your marriage? Here's a resource that will help you. Pay what you want for it. Some people are going to get it for free. Some people are going to pay for it. It's really amazing. But content leads to traffic, leads to pre-selling, and it leads to monetization. And it just goes on and on and on. And so I know I spent a lot of time here on this particular slide, but it's so pivotal, because if you just show up on the internet out of nowhere and you're trying to sell something, then you're going to get thrown into the same bucket with everybody else, and you're going to be seen as a scammer. You're going to be seen as somebody who's a charlatan. You're going to be seen as somebody who's trying to get rich quick. You're going to be seen as somebody who's not an authority. You're going to be seen as somebody who has no credibility. Where did you come from? You're just here to get my money. How can I trust you? Well, when you follow CTPM, you build credibility and trust. All right, let's keep moving. I want to tell you now the top 2 reasons I've seen that entrepreneurs fail online. And there may be more than 2. I know there are more than 2, but here are the top 2 and the ones that are most pertinent for today's webinar. Number 1, psychology. Now, here's what I mean by psychology. When you start putting high quality content online and you start generating traffic, or let's say this, first you're putting content on and you're posting regularly on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever the case may be. And it's great content. Maybe you've got your own content. Maybe you've got a degree in leadership. And so you're just putting out good stuff about leadership. And here you've curated some posts from another site, and you're sending posts back to these other sites, and it's all good information, but you're not picking up any steam. You're not getting any followers. I mean, even your own folks in your family won't even visit your blog on a regular basis. And you're like, what in the world? What's going on? And then it's very easy for you to think, man, forget it. I knew this wouldn't work. This whole online thing only works for people who have made a bunch of money, or for people who have been doing it forever, or for people who are smarter than me, right? There's this mindset of, it's not for me, it's for everybody else other than me because they're better, they're smarter. No. Let me tell you, this is something that Mark Cuban said. Mark Cuban of the Dallas Mavericks, the Shark Tank fame. Mark Cuban said, the reason why I succeeded was because I out-hustled everybody else. Mark Cuban didn't start out winning. Listen, Thomas Edison, the light bulb inventor, didn't start out winning. He had multiple thousands of prototypes of light bulbs that didn't work. And here's the thing. Henry Ford said this, and I love this. Henry Ford said, failure is your opportunity to begin again more intelligently. Let me say that again. He said that failure is your opportunity to begin again more intelligently. What does that mean? That means don't quit. Keep going. And the psychology of an entrepreneur will determine whether or not they stay online long enough to actually start making some money. Now, let me tell you, the psychology of an entrepreneur is not only when you're getting started, but even after you've been in it for a while. Just yesterday, I was walking around my cul-de-sac and I was saying to myself, keep going, don't quit. Keep going, don't quit. If you at first you don't succeed, try again. Why is that? Because I am getting to the place where I'm recognizing that, hey, I'm not losing, I'm learning. If I try something this way and it doesn't work, well, guess what? I'm going to try it a different way. And so I keep trying. And this is hard for me because I'm a perfectionist. I'm the type of person where if it doesn't work the first time, then forget about it. I'm not trying it again because it should have worked the first time. But there's a great book I've been reading called Mindset, which is all about psychology. And the whole point of this book is it's not about being smart enough. It's about not quitting. It's about being hardworking. It's about realizing that it's not going to work perfectly the first time. And so you have to keep going. You have to keep trying. Come at it a different way. I like to look at it like this. I remember when my kids were small and we tried to feed them out of the little baby jar, and they wouldn't take, they didn't like that nasty baby food stuff we were giving them. And so we tried different ways to get the food in their mouth, right? If you have children, maybe you've experienced that. Same thing. You have to try different ways online. And the psychology, how you think about yourself, how passionate you are about what you're doing, your work, how committed you are to being a leader among your peers. That is what will determine whether or not you quit when the going gets tough or whether you keep going. And this is huge. As I think about all the materials I've bought over the years, just thousands of dollars of material I've bought about how to succeed online, not one thing in there talked about the psychology. And what I have found for me is that that is more important than the technology. The psychology is more important about the customers, because if your psychology is all off, you could have the best technology, the latest in stuff that does the best stuff in the world. But if you don't have a good mental grid and you don't understand that you're not losing, rather you're learning, and that you're going to have to hustle and nobody's just going to give you anything, if you don't have that mindset, then at the first obstacle, you're going to wilt like a flower, like a flower in the heat of summer, and you're just going to give up. And you're going to miss out on the potential to impact thousands of lives. You're going to miss out on the potential to make income online. You're going to miss out on the opportunity to have this personal fulfillment of, you know what, I stepped out there, I did it, I'm helping people. It was tough, but it was worth it. I don't want you to do that. The psychology is huge. Let's get to the second reason why entrepreneurs fell online. It's because of a lack of credibility. This one is big, and it relates to what I said earlier on the previous slide about CTPM. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten emails from folks, maybe you've gotten some too, folks you've never heard from, all right? You've never heard of them, and they say, listen, for a limited time only, we've got this great deal, and you have got to buy it. And if you don't buy it today, oh, you're just hosed. Well, listen, maybe it's true that if you don't buy it today, you're hosed. Maybe it truly is a great product, right? Maybe it's something that really can help you. Maybe it's something that would be beneficial to you. None of those things are the problem. What's the problem? The problem is you don't know who they are. They don't have any credibility. They don't have any authority with you. They don't have any believability. Why? Because they just showed up. And whenever folks post stuff on my Facebook page and say, hey, all you married folks, we've got this CD for sale for $24, or we've got this for sale over here, what I typically do is either delete it or hide it from my page. Why? Number one, because I feel like that I am the shepherd, if you will, and this is the pastor's heart in me. I am the shepherd of the people who decide to follow us online. I am the shepherd of my email list. And so I don't just send out any email from just anybody about anything. Why? Because I don't want to ruin my credibility. And number two, if folks are posting stuff on my page and they don't have any credibility, then I don't want my folks to feel like man, I came to Marriage Works and I'm getting hustled by somebody else over here. And so again, you will fail online if you do not take the time to establish credibility. How do you establish credibility? Good content, high quality content, consistent high quality content, showing up every day, being there, letting people know that they can trust you, being transparent, being vulnerable, sharing things about yourself, about your past, sharing your mistakes. That is how you build credibility online. Otherwise, you're going to be seen by other folks the same way you see other folks who try to sell you something and you've never ever heard from them. One last thing. Let me give you this example. Let me get a drink of water. All right. Here's the example. Who are you more likely to buy something from? Now, let me give you this example. I read this in a book, and this is really good. Good example. So imagine that you show up randomly to a train station and you have a $5 bill. It's an authentic $5 bill. And you tell complete strangers, I will sell you this $5 bill for just $1. And the people are going to look at you and they're going 9 times out of 10, they're going to look at you and think, this person is a wacko. Why in the world would they sell me a $5 bill for $1? It seems like a good deal, but you know what? I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're up to. Forget about it. I'm out of here. So imagine that example. 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, you may have one person who says, all right, I'll do it. And so they give you $1 and you give them the 5, but 9 times out of 10, people are going to think you're a nut. Why? Because they don't know you. You have no credibility. Versus this. Imagine that for 5 straight days, you put $5 in your neighbor's mailbox. All right. And this is a neighbor you know. $5. And you don't tell the neighbor it's you. You just put $5 in their mailbox. So your neighbor comes out day 1, he gets the $5. He's like, whoa, who's this from? This is weird. Okay, I'll take it. Day 2, man, here's another 5. This is neat. So you do that for 5 days to your neighbor. And then on day 5, after your neighbor has gone to the mailbox, you go to your neighbor's house, you ring the doorbell and you say, hey, Joe, have you been getting $5 in your mailbox over the past 5 days? He's like, yeah, I have. And you tell your neighbor, yeah, that came from me. And then you say, tell you what, here's another $5 bill. I will sell you this $5 bill for $1. What is your neighbor likely going to do? He's going to say, heck yeah, because the other $5 you gave me were good. They were legitimate. I spent them. I know you. I've seen what you can do. I will buy that $5 from you for $1. Now, the whole point of that illustration is this. If you don't have credibility, you're going to have a tough time giving people an incredible deal. I'm telling you from experience. When Cecilia and I first started out on Marriage Works, I was trying to sell a monthly membership for 99 cents and could not sell it. And I remember saying to Cecilia, are these people crazy? I am offering them this wonderful deal for 99 cents and I can't get any takers. Nobody will buy it. Why is that? Well, you know why? I didn't have any credibility yet. Our Facebook page was growing so fast that the people who were coming on were new to the page. And then what did they get hit with? Oh, this guy is trying to sell me. I don't even know who he is, and he's trying to sell me something. I don't care if it is 99 cents. I don't care if it is a great value for 99 cents. I don't know him. And so this credibility is huge. So you've got to be around long enough. You've got to be consistent enough. You've got to be high quality enough. And then you start to build that credibility. But until you do, this first thing of psychology is essential. Because if you don't have the psychology to stay around long enough until you build credibility, you're going to quit and you're going to miss out on what could have been. And remember what we said at the very beginning, Ecclesiastes 9:11. It's not the smartest people who are winning. It's not the fastest people who are winning. It's not the wisest people. It's not the people who have finished college. It is not the people who look the best. It's not the people even who have the best material. Time and chance happen to everybody. I have been almost appalled and to the point of just, I can't believe that, of people who I've seen selling things online. And I'm like, I know I can do a better job than that. I've bought stuff from people and I've thought to myself, I know I can do a better job than that. But why is it that that person was selling and making money and I wasn't? It had to do with they were willing to take the chance. They were willing to seize the opportunity. They had the psychology of, I'm going to keep going until I'm successful. And I want you to have both parts of that. Yes, keep going until you're successful. But until you are there, you got to have the good psychology and you have to have some credibility. All right. Thank you for listening so far. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. This is good. This is stuff I've learned so far. And so I'm hopeful that you're getting some good information. All right. Another drink of water. Now, what I want to share with you now is my biggest mistake I've ever made online. And I've made some whoppers, all right? I've wasted some money. I've wasted a lot of money, as a matter of fact. And if Cecilia were here in the room, she'd say, yes, Kevin has wasted a lot of money over the years. I've wasted some money. I've wasted lots of time. I've lost so much time over the years. But by far, this is the biggest mistake I've ever made. Riding one horse too long, or said another way, a failure to diversify. All right, here's how I've done this. One thing that we became very, very, very good at, and it was extremely successful, was selling ebooks, okay? So here I am. This is 2013. I'm still working my IT job full-time. I've got that salary. And we're starting to make money online through Marriage Works. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I can't believe I can put a post out here that says, buy this ebook, and people are buying it. And it got to the point in 2013, between our ebooks and our conferences, we made 6 figures extra income online through Marriage Works. This was nuts. It was unbelievable. And we did it the right way. We didn't have any enemies. We weren't tricking anybody. We weren't scamming anybody. We made 6 figures in 2013 through Marriage Works while I was working my full-time IT job where I was making almost $70,000 a year. And we made this pretty much through ebooks. And I was like, this is absolutely crazy. But here is the mistake I made. I did not diversify. In 2013, the month of February 2013, we had a Valentine's sale, and for 6 days we were selling all of our ebooks a bundle. I think we were selling all of our ebooks. It may have been, I don't know, 12 or 13 at the time. We were selling all of them for 18. It was a pretty big savings. In a 6-day period, we did $20,000. Now let me tell you, those results are not typical. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. I'm not promising you anything. And I'm definitely not guaranteeing you $20,000 in 6 days. But we made $20,000 in sales in ebooks. And so this wasn't something where we had to go and ship out some material, or we had to go and spend some time with folks one-on-one or do coaching. This was just digital downloads. And I had always found, and even to this day, I had found the best equipment I could to use online, the best tools for the least amount of money. And so after we paid our PayPal fees, we made still a lot of money. We had affiliates helping us. What is an affiliate? An affiliate is a person who makes money by referring people to your site. And we can talk more about affiliates. If you have some questions at the end, I'm happy to go into more about affiliates. Again, an affiliate is a person who makes money by referring people to your site. It's almost like a referral deal. And one of our affiliates made $3,000, and they didn't write any of the books. All they did was say, hey, go to Marriage Works and check this out. So we made $20,000 in 6 days. I was astounded. I was blown away. I'd never made that much money in that much time. And I was like, this is great. We're going to keep riding this horse. We're going to keep going. But here is the deal. That money, people stopped buying the ebooks at such a prolific rate. And I stopped writing ebooks at a prolific rate. And guess what we saw? We saw the income from the ebooks start to go down. And at that point, that was the majority of our income. And so we got into this place where I was ready to hit the panic button because it's like, what's going on? But then I realized, Kevin, you made a mistake. You didn't diversify. Yeah, you want to dance with the one who brung you, but at the same time, you want to diversify. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. Back to the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 says, sow your seed in the morning and in the evening. Why? Because you don't know which one is going to prosper. And so what we've done now is we've got ebooks, we've got wristbands, we've got t-shirts, we've got coaching, we've got webinars, we've got live events. We've got all these different ways now that we can generate income. Why? Because if one of those ever goes away and everything is riding on that one source of traffic and income, then we are in deep yogurt, as a boss of mine used to say. Let me tell you, I've been in deep yogurt before, and I don't like being in deep yogurt. And so I'm going to do what I can to ensure that I've got money coming in different ways. And here's the deal. It's still all about I'm helping people. So I don't want to lose sight of that. Everything that we do with Marriage Works is done in integrity. Even when we were selling our ebooks, I can't tell you how much free stuff we were giving away to people who said, you know what, I really want this and I can't afford it. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing Pay What You Want now, because I don't want a person who needs help in their marriage not be able to get it because they can't afford it. And I've got the answer to help them. And so now, if you want it, take it. If you want to pay for it, that's great. Now I have the best of both. I can make money, but also I can help people. But the thing is, I've got to diversify, and I've got to still have good content. And so it all goes together. All right, here's the next one. This is huge. Find a niche. Here's my advice for getting started. So you've heard my story. You've heard my mistakes. You've seen where I've gone. Now the question is, how can I get started? I've got an idea, Kevin, and I want to know, how can I get started on the internet? Find a niche. There's a quote that says, your niche will make you rich. There's another saying, the riches are in the niches. In other words, don't be all things to all people. Be a few things to a few people and do them well. Now, what do I mean by finding a niche? Let's take the area of the category of home improvement. All right. Let's say that you are a craftsman. You're very handy, and you've got a business offline where you just go around and you fix people's houses. You fix stuff up. You're just very good. And you say, I want to generate more traffic. I want to start making some money online. I want to generate some leads online. And so I'm going to start writing posts about home improvement. Well, let me tell you, if you do that, you are going to be in deep yogurt yourself, because you're not going to get any traction. Why is that? Because if you just put an article online about home improvement, you're going up against the Lowe's. You're going up against the Home Depots. You're going up against Home and Garden. You're going up against Better Home and Gardens, HGTV, all those different folks. That's who you're going up against. And if you hear that beeping, I'm sorry. My son's watch is beeping, and it's too far away for me to turn off right now, so I'll keep going. So if you just put up an article about just the general area of home improvement, you're never going to get any traction. But if you become more specific and say, I'm going to write about how you can build a deck out of cedar wood. All right. I don't know. I just made that up. Or let me take something else. Here in a home improvement area, I'm going to put up, I want my niche to be, here is the best way to ensure that your washing machine does not flood your home. And maybe people are interested in that if they've had a case where the washing machine has flooded their home. And so then you start writing very specifically, writing about the hoses and how the hoses should be changed every 12 months. Or maybe also in this home improvement area, you're saying, here is how here's the best prevention to keeping your kids from flushing stuff down the toilet. Well, you know what? For folks who have young kids, that's going to be interesting to them. And so here's another one. Maybe your area is music. You're a piano teacher, and you're trying to generate more leads through the internet for your piano business there, but you also want to start writing lessons and making videos that you post online that people can buy as a part of a course, right? So here's the next thing you could do. Here's what you could do there. You could say, here is how to learn. Here's how to learn how to play by ear in 15 days or less. It's very specific. And there, you're going to teach people some very basic things that they can use. Now, here's the deal. You're finding a niche. You're not just tackling all of the music. You made it narrow. You went to piano. Then you made it even more narrow. You said, here's how to do it for ear. Or then there's one that could say, I played the piano, and one that was always tough for me, how to learn to read the bass clef, stealing lessons from the treble clef. All right. I just made that up, as you could probably tell by the way it sounds. And so then what have I done there? I've gotten even more specific. So I started out in the music world, then I went into the piano world, and then I went into the world of people who know their notes in the treble clef, but are having problems reading the bass clef. So I got very specific. So that's the first thing. Find a niche. Maybe yours has to do with painting. Maybe you are able to do something really good with a certain type of brush or technique. Maybe yours has to do with raising children, and you're like the child whisperer, and you know how to potty train kids a specific way by the age of 2. I mean, I've got a friend who did this. She was like, for real, the potty training whisperer. And what she could have done was created something online and shared her techniques. So you want to be very specific. Find a niche. Here's number 2. As you're going along, you want to date social media. Yes, create a Facebook page. Yes, have a Twitter site, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, do all that stuff, but date it. Why? Because if you ever marry it, you're going to be in a hurtful place if those sites ever say, we don't like what you're doing. We don't agree with your stance anymore. And this is something that we've had to do. Majority of our traffic comes through Facebook, but one of the things that we have realized is we don't own our followers. They're merely there as long as our page is, and that's something you've got to keep in mind. Use social media. Maybe you've already built up a following online, but if you're not diversifying your traffic, or what I'm going to talk about next, if you're not capturing your traffic's personal information, then you're going to be in a hurtful place when and if that social media giant ever says, we don't want to work with you anymore. We don't like your site. And so date social media. Yes, use it. Yes, buy ads. Yes, become as prolific as you can on getting information to the people through those avenues, but don't put all your eggs in that one basket, or if the basket ever gets taken and all your eggs are there, you're in a very bad spot. And so that leads to number 3. Well, what do you do then? You build an email list. When engaged users are on your email list, you have the best opportunity to take them through content, traffic, pre-sale, monetize. But not only that, when these people are on your email list, you also have some insurance against social media ever changing the rules. The biggest thing that has happened online since we started Marriage Works has been how Facebook has continually changed their rules. Because remember, Facebook started out where they weren't charging people for anything. I mean, you could just do whatever you wanted on Facebook, carte blanche, it didn't matter. No fees, no nothing. Well, Mark Zuckerberg is no idiot, right? He understands that if I've got millions of people on here, and I've got millions of people's data, and people are coming to me saying, hey, can you share this data? Zuckerberg's like, I can use this to make some money. And so Facebook started changing their rules. They started saying, for your message to be seen by this many people, you're going to have to buy some ads. I remember we were at a point, man, with Marriage Works, we were growing by like thousands of people a month with our likes. And it's much slower now. Why? Because Facebook wants us to buy ads. But here's the deal. When we do ads now, everything we do online now, from Facebook to our blog to wristbands, everything we do is with this purpose in mind, not only generating income, but also building our email list. We've got over 20,000 folks in our email list, and we have that because if social media ever goes away, we still have a way to get in contact with the folks who want to hear from us. And so what do we do on our email list? CTPM. We give out good content. These days, we're sending out a newsletter weekly. We're giving out good content. And if you get our newsletter, you see that we're sending you to other people's site because we know that we're not the be all, the know all be all when it comes to marriage. There are other brilliant people out there. So we're sending you to other people's site. So we're giving you good content. And then hopefully the next week when you get our newsletter, you'll say, man, last week was good. Let me open it up again. Traffic. What are we doing? We're pre-selling you. And then when we make an offer for something, you may say, man, you know what? I really want to buy this. So we have monetized, but it was because we built an email list. There are a number of different places where you can get an email list, and I'm happy to discuss these in more detail during the Q&A. So if you'll just jot these down, but ones like there's places like Aweber or Constant Contact or MailChimp, so many different places where you can build an email list and start out at a pretty inexpensive price. So that's advice number 3, build an email list. Number 4, outsource. This is huge. There are things that drain your energy. There are things that you feel like completely kill your time. There are things that you feel like are just, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. So what I would encourage you to do is outsource your weaknesses. And I'm putting in some sites right here that you can go to. Let me do this right here, the www on it. There's Fiverr, there's Elance, there's Odesk. There are these different sites, and the cool thing about these is there are people on there who will start doing work, in particular Fiverr. They will start doing work for as low as $5. I have spent hundreds of dollars on Fiverr over the past several months. I've hired people to be virtual assistants. I've hired people to load emails into my listserv. I've had people create graphics for me. I've had people do some web programming. I've had people do videos. I've had people edit my ebooks. Get this, I've had people read books for me and summarize them and write a 1,500-word summary that I can monetize as Cliff Notes of a marriage book. I mean, there are so many things I've done, so many ways I've used Fiverr, and I really want to encourage you to do this. What is it that you're not very good at doing? What is it that drains your time? What is it that you feel like just this is bad? Somebody else can do this. Outsource it. Because if you don't, you're going to find that you're spending way too much time doing things that you really should not be doing. And that's just the simplest way to say it. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. Outsource it if it's draining your time. Understand this. As an entrepreneur, there are things that only you can do. There are things that you're good at, but that other people can do. So you've got to make that decision that this is taking too much time. I'm going to outsource this. And Fiverr is the least expensive way to get started. All right, here's number 5. Make friends online. Now, when I say make friends online, what I'm talking about is finding others who are doing things that you want to do. Maybe you're passionate about healthcare, and you're following a blog. So write the person who owns that blog and say, you know what, I really appreciate your work. I read all of your blog posts. I'm interested in that as well. And I want to let you know that, and if I can do anything to help you publicize what you're doing, you just let me know. See, here's the thing. You're contacting these folks who you consider to be a, quote, A-lister. You're contacting them not to get something from them, but rather to contribute. Maybe they have some big sale coming up, and you ask them, yeah, is there anything I can do to help you with this sale? I've got a blog over here. I don't have nearly as many people as you do, but I've got some people who are interested in the same stuff. What can I do to help you? And here's the thing that happens. You're going to find that the more you give, the more you receive. I've developed some really, really solid friendships online since I started doing MarriageWorks full-time in 2013. And when I left my university job, I was thinking, man, I knew hundreds of people at the university, and it's like, I don't know anybody in this new thing. I don't know anybody who's doing what I'm doing now. And so I had to do the exact thing I'm telling you. I had to start, and I started making friends, and today I've got some very solid friendships online. The crazy thing is, some of these folks, I've never seen them before, right? I've only seen them online, but we developed such a brotherhood, such a fondness. Why? Because I started out seeing what I can do to help them. And now we help each other. Guys and gals, we help each other. And so make friends online. You're going to find that if you are a lone ranger on the internet and you're trying to do it all by yourself and you're a nomad and you don't need anybody else, it's not going to work. You're not going to last very long. You're going to burn out. We need community. We need community on the internet, but of course we need community off the internet as well. And here's the last piece of advice for getting started. Choose yourself. And this one really gets back into the area of the whole psychology. Stop waiting for permission to do what's in your heart, because nobody's going to give it to you. Stop waiting for someone to choose you. They're busy choosing someone else. Start where you are and with what you have. And I can't tell you just how pivotal this is. One of the books that has been really helpful to me is called Poke the Box. And the reason it's been so big is this book is all about choosing yourself. It's all about starting now. This book is all about don't wait for someone else to make it happen for you. You make it happen for yourself. Time and chance, opportunity. I always think about this story whenever I think about the concept of choosing myself. In 4th grade, I was this little scrawny dude. And now as an almost 40-year-old, I'm this big scrawny dude. But in 4th grade, there was this young lady named Yolanda. And Yolanda could just kick the living daylights out of the kickball. Her nickname was Sweetie. We all called her Sweetie. And whenever we were choosing teams, they would always choose Sweetie first, because if you had Sweetie on your team, then you were pretty much guaranteeing yourself a win, because Sweetie was bigger than everybody else in the class and she could nail that ball. Well, being one of the skinny dudes there, I always got picked last. And I just remember just that feeling of I'm not good enough. I'm not special enough. They don't like me. They don't think I can do it. I remember that feeling. And maybe you've been there. And I had that same feeling in 7th and 8th grade when I tried out for the basketball team and I got cut. I've been cut from sports teams enough to know that I don't like getting cut. I've also been cut from enough sports teams, and I've been turned down for enough jobs to know that I can't count on people to choose me. I can't guarantee that people are going to choose me to do what I want to do. And so you know what I've learned how to do? I've learned how to choose myself. I didn't wait for anybody to say, Kevin, yes, you can start a blog and start writing about marriage. Yes, Kevin, you can put up a Facebook page and start posting stuff about marriage. I didn't wait for somebody to say, yes, Kevin, you can hold an event in different parts of the country and invite people who have never seen you but have only associated with you on the internet. Yes, Kevin, you can invite them. I didn't wait for that. I didn't wait for anybody to give me permission to start coaching people. No. I chose myself. And if you are going to get started, you must make a decision today, this very moment, to choose yourself. And then you have to keep making a decision to choose yourself, because you're going to run into obstacles. You're going to run into hard times. You're going to run into this place where you're just being hit with fear and you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. You know what you do? Choose yourself all over again. And you just have to do it. You have to choose yourself. I had to choose myself to do this webinar, because up until this point, I had always told myself, well, Kevin, all you do is write about marriage. You can't talk to people who are coming to you about marriage, about financial things. You can't write to them about how to succeed online, because they're only coming to you for marriage. And and that held me back for 3 years. I should have done this webinar 3 years ago. This is 3 years in the making. But I finally got to the point where I got fed up and I said, you know what? Nobody's going to give me permission to do this. I am going to choose myself. I'm going to do this webinar because married people not only care about money, but they also care, they not only care about marriage, but they also care about money. How many married people are entrepreneurs? How many married people feel like they're in a dead-end job? How many married people would like to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month? How many married people would like to make some extra money to help with this bill, or to help, maybe they've got their parents living with them and they need to buy extra grocery or to take care of medical expenses, or they want to pay off some college debt. Well, that's what this webinar is all about. I chose myself so I could talk to you today, and I want you to choose yourself. Now, we're almost done here. I want to show you just one more thing. Here's another book that was just very helpful to me. It's the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And this book was so great in helping me to move beyond my fear. Those two books, Poke the Box, Who Moved My Cheese. If you haven't read Who Moved My Cheese, you've got to get it. You've got to get the book or the audio. And here's the thing. It only takes you an hour to read. It's a story about two mice and two men. And I won't give it all away, but they run out of cheese, right? The cheese disappears. The mice realize the cheese is gone and they don't wait around. They get moving, finding new cheese. The humans do what you and I tend to do. They justified why the cheese should have been there. They rationalized where it could have gone. They justified why they deserved it. And then they did nothing. They just kept waiting for somebody to choose them and fix their problem. Well, you know what? I'm here to tell you. People have their own problem to fix. Nobody's going to fix your problem. Well, let me rephrase that. People will fix your problem, and you will pay them to fix your problem. Because remember, people get paid for solving problems. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do is listen. If your problem is along the financial end, then choose yourself and do something about it. Solve somebody else's problem. If your problem has to do with your esteem and you feel like you're not good enough, well, you know what? You solve that problem by getting busy and go solve somebody else's problem of low self-esteem. Don't just sit back and wait for things to happen. Choose yourself and make it happen. All right, let me get a drink of water right quick. All right, thank you for hanging in here with me. Now, I want to give you an opportunity to do something with everything I've told you. I've given you a lot of information. It may have almost been like drinking water from a fire hose, but here I want to help you do something about it. Through tomorrow night, I'm offering some group coaching spots. There are 30 spots there, and it's $67 a month. And actually, it's going to be $47 a month through tonight. So there's a $20 discount through tonight, and I have 30 spots available. You can sign up for group coaching. What's going to happen in group coaching? There's twice a month, either via phone or via Skype, and there's going to be interviews that I'm going to conduct with my colleagues online, people who are successful, people who are doing what you want to do, people who are making money online. There's going to be a private Facebook group, and this is where we'll be able to interact with one another in this very private fashion. There's going to be a members-only portal. And this is where you've got an opportunity to learn. You've got an opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to tell you everything I know, everything I've learned. I'm learning more and more every day. We're just going to learn. I'm going to make book recommendations, magazine recommendations. It's just, this group coaching is your opportunity to get farther, faster, to learn. Now, here's the second option. Mastermind. What this is more intimate. It's more personal. 2 sessions a month, and you get the group coaching package. And so for this one, really, you're going to have 4 sessions a month. I have 10 spots for this at $97 a month. And here's how this works. With the mastermind, we have things known as hot seats. And a hot seat is where you're working on your project and everyone is listening to you present to tell us, here's what I've done this past week. Here's the progress I've made. Here are the questions I have. Here's what I've done. What do you think about this? The mastermind is more intimate. You see, there's only 10 spots down from 30. The mastermind is all about you and the small group of people who are going to hold you accountable. You and the small group of people who are on a bi-weekly basis. We're going to listen to each other. We're going to encourage one another. We're going to hold each other accountable. And we're all going to be so well acquainted with one another's projects that we'll be able to collaborate with one another and push each other higher, faster. And here's the wonderful thing. Whenever you have a small group of people who are on the same plane and they're thinking the same thing, everyone in the group benefits from that creative thought pattern. And that's what a mastermind is all about. It's much more personal. And with this, we're going to be talking to one another. Whereas the group coaching is more me giving it to you with you asking your questions. The mastermind is we're all on here together. We're all learning together, and we're all going ahead together. And then finally, the final option is private coaching. And this is 2 sessions plus you get the group coaching package as well. This is $497 a month. And what this is one-on-one. It's just you and me. And twice a month, we are talking about everything that that pertains to you. What's concerning you? What progress did you make this past week? What's holding you up? Is it something with the technology? Is it something with your psychology? What is it? Where do you want to go today? The private coaching is all about is I am here to help push you forward. It's just you and me. And so it's the ultimate one-on-one. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to encourage you. As my coach says to me, I'm going to hug your neck and I'm going to kick your butt. And coaching is powerful. I have a coach. I've had a coach since 2005. And the wonderful thing about coaching is it just you're not by yourself. You have the perspective of someone else who's been there, someone else who's done that, and they can help you go ahead. They can help you see through your problems. They can give you insight. And so that's why coaching is so powerful. And so there are the offers that I have for you. Group coaching, $67 a month. Mastermind, $97 a month. Or private coaching, $497. And again, as a reminder, the group coaching is actually $47 a month, but that special is going to disappear tonight at 11:59 Eastern. All right. At this point, what I would like to do is take any questions you have. And so if you will, just enter them into your chat box. And I'm going to get a drink of water while you are putting in your questions. And let me tell you, the questions can be about anything that we have talked about. They can be about how to get started. If there are any questions that have to do with social media, any questions about blogging, any questions about email or the service to use, just, you tell me at this point. Any questions that you have? Any questions at all? If there are questions about outsourcing, I know I mentioned sites like Fiverr. If you have any questions about that, if you've got any questions about content, traffic, pre-sale, monetize, this is your chance to let me know how I can answer your questions. And while we're waiting, let me tell you some of the questions that came up in the previous 2 webinars I did. A question was asked, when does the coaching begin? If you go to marriage.work/online success, what you're going to see is the first coaching sessions will be held next week, and on Wednesday and on Thursday. And once we get a set time, once we get a set group of people who are going to do the coaching, then we're going to just gauge and see what is the best opportunity, what's the best time rather for everyone, and that is when we'll do the coaching. And if you do happen to miss a coaching session, no worries. Everything is going to be recorded, and so even if you cannot attend live, you will still hear everything that was covered in that coaching session. And in these coaching sessions, I will be polling you. It's like, here's the topic for this week. This is what we're going to be talking about. Let me know what questions you have about this. And that way I can guarantee that the sessions are right on target for what you need and want to know. Another question that someone asked previously, how long do the coaching sessions last? Is it like 6 months? Is it a year? How long is it? What it is, the coaching sessions will last as long as you want them to last. Now, certainly, research has been done, and my own coach told me this, and he does this with all of his clients. It's best to get coaching for at least 3 to 6 months. Why? Because you want to give time to build new habits. You want to give time for these new technical systems you put into place to take root. Another big mistake that online entrepreneurs make is they jump from this system to this system to this system to this system. And that's something that I did early on. And that's one of the reasons why I spent so much money. I can't tell you how many different e-commerce packages I have spent money on and used, because I was always trying to upgrade to this. Let me try this out. Let me try this out. Well, I finally got to a place where I'm just really good right now. There was one that I spent $1,500 on to start out, and then I spent $400 for 3 months and never used it. More money wasted. And if someone had been coaching me, they would have told me, listen, find one system, stick to it. Find the one that works and keep going. And so while coaching is month to month and you can drop off at any point you want, I do encourage you to stay for at least 3 to 6 months, because when you do that, then you're going to get the most bang for your buck, and you will be able to see at that point that you're actually making progress online. All right. So still no questions. Did I cover things that well? And listen, if you don't want to ask your question publicly, you do have the option to ask your question privately. So any questions from anyone? I'm happy to take your questions right now. Any questions at all from anyone? Now wait about 60 more seconds. Maybe I'll wait 20 seconds. So 60 seconds is a very long time to wait in silence on the internet. Any more questions from anyone? All right. Well, as a reminder, just to let you know, there are 3 coaching options available. There's group coaching, and I have 30 spots for that. That's going to be, the regular price is $67, but if you sign up by $11:59 tonight, that will be $47 a month ongoingly. Tomorrow, it will be back up to $67. That is on Saturday. There's a mastermind group. I have 10 spots for that at $97 a month. And then there is private coaching for $497 a month. And that's where it's just you and me, one-on-one. Again, the mastermind is when it's you and me and 9 other people, and we're just going deeply into each person's specific situation. So thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate your time. We've been going for almost an hour and a half. So for those who've been on from the very beginning, thank you so much. I'm hopeful that this information was helpful to you. And remember, even more than the technology, it's about the psychology. And I want to let you know that you really can succeed online. You can do it. And if you think it's going to be a good fit to work with me, it would be my honor and it'd be a blessing for me to work with you. So if you have any questions after the fact, feel free to email me. And I'm hopeful that you'll sign up for coaching. And if not, do know that I'm still going to be here to help you out as much as I can. All right. Thanks a lot. God bless you. And please have a wonderful, blessed Easter weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye.